fellow concerned humans.
No.
I address you that way tonight because that's what we are here tonight. We are all fellow humans. And the things that have divided us in the past, we need to put aside tonight to come together and congregate in this way to make a clear and concise demonstration of what we stand for. My name is Carrie Hutchinson, and I'm a racial justice activist. And I'm here today with one goal: to compel you and you and you and you and you and every person standing here to become a racial justice activist too.
Yeah!
I will not be shy about my message. And if you know me, you know that that's true. I stand here today unapologetically to denounce white supremacy and to ask that all of you take a closer look into its insidiousness in our culture and to denounce it with me. My talk today is about the past, the present, and the future. And the part about the future relies entirely on you. It's in your hands. So please listen. Here's the part about the past. Before we move forward with any action today, we need to take a moment to acknowledge the work that has already been done. People of color have been fighting racism in America from the inception of our country. And while the participation of white people today is desperately needed, it is overdue and it is not enough. Do you agree with me?
Yeah!
Thank you.
That's right!
Thank you for your support. So first, I just want to say that on behalf of Showing Up for Racial Justice and on behalf of my fellow white Santa Barbarans, our hearts go out to you, brothers and sisters of color, our community members, because any pain we are experiencing right now as white people over the tragic events in Charlottesville, you are experiencing tenfold, to a degree that we cannot even fathom, given our racial privilege. Please show your love with me right now to all of our brothers and sisters who are suffering, please. The fact that people of color have already been organizing since forever is why I'm speaking tonight to my white peers. If you question this method, and people often do, and I'm happy to speak to you more about that after, just take a look around you. It should be obvious why I need to be up here speaking to my white peers in Santa Barbara. Is it obvious?
Yes.
It is. Thank you. A little more about the past. In November of last year, we started the Santa Barbara chapter of Showing Up for Racial Justice. Many of you who are here tonight are members. We call it Surge. Thank you. Who are you? Yeah. Talk to any of those folks or me after. Surge is a national organization aimed at mobilizing white people for anti-racist action and education as a part of a multiracial majority. We work directly with people and communities of color toward anti-racism action and education. We have over 150 chapters and affiliates across the nation, and we are the Santa Barbara chapter right here. Normally, when I speak in front of large groups, I spend a lot of time explaining why we need to organize white people. But today, sadly, I think recent events make that point crystal clear. So let's talk about the present, what's happening now. White people are organizing already, and they have been for a very long time. I have a handout going around, and I only have 50 copies for environmental reasons, but please do share with others and contact me if you'd like to get a copy. But it shows the Southern Poverty Law Center's hate map, which outlines the hate groups in our beloved country, in our country. Today's count of official, documented, certified hate groups is 917 in the United States of America. In California, the map shows 79. This is our state in California. 79 verified hate groups, several of which are not far from here. And trust me, if you haven't seen the map before, you may be surprised. Don't be. White people are organizing. But these white people are organizing for hate, and today, we are organizing for love. Why else do white people in particular need to organize for love? Because the research is unanimous in demonstrating that people are most persuasive with their own racial in-groups, right? White guy, you're my dad. You white guy, you're my brother. You're my mom, you're my sister, you're my co-parent on the PTA. We need to be speaking to each other because we can be most influential with each other. You need to tell your family, tell your coworkers. Discounting the lived experience of people of color is a standard strategy for people who don't want to acknowledge the reality of racism, and it causes them to tune out. Your voice is needed because you can be enormously influential within your own racial peer group. Just today, on the way here, I'm not even kidding, I can't believe this happened. I had to take a Lyft, L-Y-F-T, to come to this event because we only had one car. And I was preparing the speech for tonight, and I was really busy and kind of trying to mind my own business. And the cab driver said, "What are you doing today?" And I had an opportunity. I could have said to him, "Oh, I'm just going to something downtown. I do appreciate the ride." And I could have been otherwise friendly. But instead, I told him that I'm a racial justice activist. We got to chatting a little bit, and trust me, this guy was as white as they get. An older gentleman. And I don't want to discriminate, but I was a little afraid. I didn't know what he was going to say. I don't know where he stands. But I spoke my truth, and I told him what I do, and he handed me his card and said, "I'd like you to email me everything you have on this subject after your talk tonight, and I can't wait to get involved."
Yeah!
It's an opportunity. Every conversation is an opportunity to reach out to somebody. You have to be brave, and you might be afraid, but you have to do it because we have to win this battle. Showing up for racial justice commonly cites this statistic you might have heard, that it will take 3.5% of the population, that's 7 million white people, to be actively involved in racial justice action in order to even make a dent in the systemic racism that infiltrates our culture. And that is a lot of people. So every one of you standing here is needed. Are you one of them?
Yes!
Yes, you are. Great. I'm really excited, and I'm so excited about the turnout tonight. So we need to focus on the future. You're going to need to focus on two things, and those are education and action. Here's the education piece. It's our job to educate ourselves and our fellow white peers about privilege and racism. It's not the job of people of color who we have oppressed for centuries to take on the burden of reversing the damage that our ancestors have done.
Yeah!
It is on us. At Surge, we hold regular educational workshops, and we welcome everyone, no matter where you're starting from. Every single person has a start to their anti-racism activism, and today might be your start, and I hope that it is. Speaking of action, what are you going to do after today? Other than get more educated on these issues, because there's a lot more to do. We have an email list that'll be housed at this sign. We have 2 of them going around. And if you get on our email, we will send you an action you can do every single week against racism. Some of these actions take 30 seconds, some of them take 5 minutes, and some of them take longer. But you will be doing something every week, if not every day, to fight racism and be an anti-racist activist. And I welcome you to that fight. Many of you are already doing this work. And for those of you that I'm preaching to the choir to, thank you for your patience. Others of you are really going to have to call on your bravery to dive in with us. And it does take some bravery, I understand. Because I had a start to my story just like you'll have a start to your story. But please dive in. Every single one of us can be doing more, and every single one of us is needed. My beloved community, a beautiful phrase that you've probably heard before. This is Santa Barbara. Let's show respect and dignity for our beloved community, and let's commit to this future together. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.